Hey George. నిజంగా మనం ఇంపాక్ట్
Hey, hi guys. 1 second, I'm just admitting people. We'll kickstart it in a minute. So we have Sriharsh, right? Yeah. Sriharsh, can you hear me? We have 15 minutes. Hello. Sriharsh, are you there? Can you hear me? Hi, Sriharsh. Guys, 1 second.
Just Shreyas has joined this time.
Yeah. Hi, Sriharsh.
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
good, good. How are you guys
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. And most of the crowd has joined us. Maybe there can be a couple of more admits as we go along the way. So
Okay.
if you are okay, we can start the session. So let
I'm okay.
me.
I mean, give it a couple of minutes for the others to join. It's okay.
No, I think I have enough people. We have around 18 people, 18 companies right now. So maybe few of them will join. I keep adding them as they come.
Okay.
So, folks, let me take the pleasure in inviting and introducing Sriharsh, the speaker of the day. So Sriharsh has been a director with Lead Engage. So he has a pedigree from Osmania University and he is an MBA from Narsi Monji Institute of Management. So he has worked extensively in the areas of market strategy, digital marketing, new product marketing, and also on creating branding for organizations and also products. So we have a pleasure of having him invite you, all of you, for this session. So please make it more interactive and make sure you get as much as you can from this session. Mostly get all your marketing, branding kind of questions answered. So I'll now keep it open to Sriyash to start the session. And towards the end, we'll have a 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A, and maybe we can share some more information towards the end. So Sriyash, thank you for joining us today, and please please carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me to the session. Um, uh, while Prithvi reached out, a couple of days ago, and I was in, the middle of travel plans, but I was very keen to join the session primarily for what I'm going to be learning rather than, that is what I'm going to be talking about, right? So I'm looking forward to a healthy interaction with all the members here, and I think. The brave souls whom we call as entrepreneurs, right? They are also the ones who make this economy more vibrant, right? So I think, there is in today's business times, without entrepreneurship, without entrepreneurs, the economy and the business world looks, pretty old and boring, right? So the entrepreneurs are the ones who are actually bringing in new ideas, kind of, that has been taking up different opportunities, looking at transformations, and looking at, there is actually, changing consumer expectations. So I am looking forward to, a great interaction with all the participants here. So please feel free to, kind of, that is engage me post the talk, post the presentation. And I'd be curious to know, there is, what kind of startups are there, out there, in this particular group, right? Am I loud and clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
you are clear, Sriyash.
Here,
Fabulous.
just to give you a quick heads up in terms of the kind of startups that are present in the session today, are all
Mhm.
product tech startups predominantly operate.
Predominantly operating in, sorry, I lost you.
Already launched their product and have a paying customers and have a monthly recurring revenue of at least 2 to 3 lakhs. So majorly this is the stage of this startups, and they're all product tech startups, and majority of them are uh, using deep tech as well, AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, all sorts. They're a B2B, B2C, B2B2B, B2B2C, D2C. It's a healthy mix of all sorts of models. So yeah, so I think that would give you a decent understanding of the kind of TG that we are talking here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sounds great. So what I thought would be a nice thing to do here, okay, would, instead of just talking about the theoretical aspects of branding, I thought, that it would be a good opportunity, to kind of walk you through, the initial days, or, the work that went behind the launch of Byju's, right? So I was very fortunate to lead this effort. It was my team, which kind of developed this, this Byju's launch campaign. And, for several reasons, the launch, the brand launch of Byju's was a phenomenal success. We'll talk about that probably on towards the end of the session. But the most critical factors that contributed to, Byju's success, from besides its, of course, I mean, it's fabulous product, and, coming up with something which is very different from what the category always had, right? So it was a good opportunity for us to, pick something and position it in a way that, there is, that the adoption, how do you accelerate adoption, like, so that's the most critical factor, right? So when you're going to invest in, there is, in marketing dollars, and if you're going to be investing in, there is branding, the primary, there is, the primary goal is, especially from a startup point of view, right? How are we going to, there is accelerate adoption, right? And especially, when you have investors, in this case, it was Sequoia, right? So when you have investors who are deeply invested they're looking at, there is, and how fast can we accelerate, the consumer adoption, correct? So I thought, there is, in that context, I thought, it might be, interesting to actually walk you through the thinking, the entire thinking process of, that is how we kind of, developed, for Byju's, its first launch campaign, right? Is that good? I mean, does it work for everyone? Is it interesting? I was just hoping that it'll be very interesting.
Yes, Sriharsh, definitely that's a good model to get started. Yeah.
Definitely
Fabulous.
interesting.
Right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to be, screen sharing. Just give me a second. Is my screen visible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, great. Just a quick check again. Is my screen visible now? Is the presentation visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Fabulous, right? So, let me set a little context before we start this. So, in 2015, 2016, I think till about, there is 2019, right? So we were very closely working with, when I say we, I'm referring to the MullenLowe Lintas group. And, like the THEP team already mentioned, there is, I had one of the P&Ls within, MullenLowe Lintas group, right? So, as a group, we were very closely associated with Sequoia, and the basis for that association was very, very simple, right? So the understanding was very clear. A lot of in Sequoia's investments in startups were, for scale-ups, correct? So startups, probably just like you all, who already have a recurring revenue, and now, the opportunity seems to be very interesting, and there's a working model out there. So how do we kind of scale it up? Like, that's where really Sequoia kind of steps in, right? And Sequoia also realized that there is a lot of the investments really go towards customer acquisitions or consumer acquisitions, right? I mean, whatever channel, whatever medium, doesn't really matter. But the point is that there is a lot of the investments that go into scaling up of these startups, really goes into there is marketing dollars, right? And therefore there is if that's where most of the money is going, and if that's going to be the most critical aspect, then the whole idea is that there is how do we kind of consolidate that in such a way that there is we're able to have a good set of team members who are able to drive this agenda across all startups. Like that's really how the partnership started. And that's how we started working very closely with Sequoia, which means that there is, as a result of that, between those 3-4 years, a lot of us worked on multiple startups. In fact, across the group, we were working very closely with about close to about there is 27 startups at one stage, right? Urban Ladders. I mean, the whole shebang. I mean, there is a lot of the startups that Sequoia had invested in. We were working very closely with the with the startups to create this entire there is what we call as the branding, right? So one of the things that there is I kind of came across multiple times is that there is where do you really start as a startup? There is the moment you start looking at there is wanting to now you've done your work, there's a there is a proof of concept kind of established. There are your early adopters are there is some recurring revenue. Okay, now you want to look at scaling up, and scaling up in this context really means there is how do you kind of accelerate, expedite entire consumer adoption, correct? And when you're at that stage, there is where do you really start? I mean, that's that's really the $1 million question here, correct? And I'm sure a lot of you would be there is at the stage where trying to think of there is how do we start? Where do we start? How does it really work, correct? So if you look at there is from a brand point of view, okay, there are there are, we call it the 4C model, right? So the first is that, there is, do we have a deep understanding of consumer and the consumer, so we'll come to it in a bit. Second is that, there is, are we very familiar with, there is, category? Are we, have we looked at, there is, what this category is looking like? And the third is that, there is, what is our, competition reference looking like here, right? So what's the, and this competition may not be always within the same category. Sometimes, there is, like we all know, the competition could be, in an adjacent category, or sometimes, from a completely different category, correct? And the fourth, most important point is that, there is, when you're looking at, there is, developing a brand, you have to look at it from a slightly longer term perspective, which means that, there is, anything that you do now, you'd want to be able to keep it consistent, at least for the next, 5 to 7 years, right? So what does the future hold like, what's the big shift that's expected in the next 3 to 5 years? How is it going to impact your business? How are we going to be in a position to be able to leverage, those big shifts? Are we going to be, better aligned, when things change, right? So those are the, questions that, that I'm sure each one of us keep asking ourselves, correct? And that's really what, the coming context is, right? So this is typically, the four, we call it the 4C model, and this is a very effective model. And one of the reasons why I thought, Byju's should be a good example is because, there is, it kind of, talks about it, when I walk you through, some of the, slides to follow, you would realize that, there is how well all these 4Cs came together, to create such a distinctive and a unique proposition for Byju's, which also, there is, greatly impacted their, accelerated adoption, correct? And when while you're doing this 4Cs, right? So there is also, there is also a need state that you've already passed through, right? I mean, there is, you would have looked at, whatever startup idea that you're bringing to the table, you're going to look at, there is, who are they going to come from the non-users of, something that's already existing, or it's going to, it's going to come from the users and their experience and their, dissatisfaction, or, or probably something, better than what they're currently consuming, right? Or are you going to look at, creating, something of better value for the loyalists of an existing category, right? For example, I think, there is a very good example here is Creds, right? And, if there is an, sorry, and if there are major dropouts, for some reason in a particular category, is that a big opportunity for our, initial consumer base, like, so I'm sure, there is, these are questions that, would have crossed all your minds, over a period of time, correct? So I thought, there is, Byju's kind of, there is, presents itself in a way that, there is, it looked at, all the 4Cs very effectively. And second is that, there is, it also created, there is, a kind of a dissonance amongst consumers who are, kind of pursuing the current options, like, and that's something that I thought, there is, comes out very beautifully, right? So can I safely assume that, there is, everyone is very familiar with Byju's?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, right. So, so when we, and guys, I mean, there is, don't look at Byju's what it stands or how it is today. Okay, I'm talking about, there is 2015, so it's roughly about 6 years ago. And yes, they were, a startup just 6 years ago, and wow, I mean, they've been on one hell of a ride, right? I mean, there is, it's been a spectacular success for them, and I think, there is, they're a marquee brand today, both in terms of brand and in terms of business. I think they're doing exceptionally well, and very, very, there is, happy, very, I definitely, I take a lot of pride in having played some small role, during the initial stages, right? So, but when they came, when they came to us in 2015, when we started, there is, work with them, right? So, a couple of things that we, that caught our attention, okay, was really about, there is, how they were viewing, the entire, consumer behavior and the category dynamics, and the kind of human product that they seem to be, there has been building. And Byju was very passionate about, there is, couple of different aspects of this entire, there is, this app-based learning model, right? And one of their, and one thing that Byju's was, kept on repeating was that, there is, he didn't want to follow, he really believed that, there is, if the concepts are clear, if the children get the concepts clear, then, there is, learning is a very fun process. I mean, that's something that he constantly kept, kept repeating. And for us, there is, I mean, we've all gone through our own, education system. I must say that, it took a little while for us to, understand the depth of what he was saying and the, the relevance of what he was saying, correct? But the whole idea was this, was we make today's smart kids addicted to learning, giving them conceptual clarity, right? I mean, that was the key, that was what they were really focusing on. And that's the reason why they developed that, that video based interactive kind of content delivery. And their whole idea was, while this love their subject came in much later, right? But, this was not articulated the way it was, but they were very clear that, there is, they wanted children to start liking, the whole process of studying, right? So that was, what their emphasis was, right? So therefore, there is, we were very clear that, there is, your brand has to be built on, this platform, which is, there is, can we get your children really enjoy learning, right? I mean, there is, this is like a, at that point in time, it looked like, a massive task, but, over the years, I think, there is, some of this has really evolved, right? So, in our view, there is, we were very clear how this would kind of pan out when we started Human as a strategic team, when we started discussing all these, internally. We realized that, there is, one of the most critical questions that we should be answering ourselves, right? Or answering to ourselves is really about, there is, who should Byju's speak to, correct? So we all know that, there is, when it comes to, there is, studies, when it comes to tuitions, we all know that, the final call, always lies, lie with the parents, correct? For the younger classes, there is, they are more vocal. And for the senior classes, it's more like a joint decision making. But parents have a big say when it comes to, tuitions. This is something that we all know, correct? So therefore, there is, we also realize that, there is, from a category point of view, the entire, if you look at it, the entire category, right, talks to parents, right? So we said, okay, there is, while the category is looking at talking to parents, can we kind of look at, I mean, what's the child's perspective in this, correct? And in today's education, where is the child in the world of, education is a question that we wanted to kind of explore and discover. And then we realized, and, if you guys all remember, there is, the last decade, there was so much of news about, there is, suicide rates going up in India, the pressure and all of that. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with, the situation, especially in countries like India, right? And we all thought that, there is, and look at this, the paradox here, right? So, tuition was supposed to be of help, correct? They were supposed to, there is, while in a class, it may not be possible for most children to get individual attention, or additional help, which is what a tuition was supposed to provide, correct? But if you look at it, there is, over the, over the years, what have tuitions become, right? It's all become about egging children, basically getting more and more aggressive. And they were just focused on, I mean, what, is defined as success, which is purely defined as grades, right? How do I actually, there is, get children to become, fundamentally, there is seeding this possibility in every child's mind that, there is, you also can be, the topper, you also can be number one, right? So, in all of this, the child is completely lost, right? There is no one in their entire ecosystem at that point in time. When we spoke to a lot of children, it was actually a sad story. There is, children were actually losing interest in studies. That was the worst thing to happen, right? Imagine, when somebody in 6th standard, 7th standard saying that, there is, I'm not interested in studying anymore, and you've got a lot of years ahead of you to, to complete your studies, correct? And in the entire ecosystem, including tuitions, there was nothing they felt was really something, that is, or somebody who, who understood their plight, right? Or, was out there to, help them, right? So like I said, there is, this is really, some of the, from some of the discussions that we had with, with children's and, some of the consumer research that we did, right? So, the fun of going to school, the fun of learning, everything seems to have lost, right? And now kids only talk about, there is, stress and, getting too nervous and all of that, right? So we realize that, there is, it's, this whole space is become very complex. It's a high pressure, there's too much of pressure on children too early, right? And there is literally, nothing that children have that can, that they feel, is something that can come to their aid, right? So that was something that, that came out very, very clearly, right? And therein we saw that, the beginning of an opportunity. We believe that, there is, it's not really the parents, but it's really about, the children, right? How do we kind of, there is pitch Byju's as something which, kind of, there is helps children, and we believe that, there is rest of it would follow, right? And, there were four interesting factors, right? So the whole question that we were asking was that, there is, can Byju's become the, the antidote, right? So the first one was, there is, the real difference between, there is, this better get it is what, they constantly, children are constantly hearing from, their teachers, their parents, in the tuition classes. That's what they keep hearing, correct? We said, there is human, let's, rephrase this, right? If you're talking about, fundamental concepts, can we start, them in telling children that, there is, it's not about, better get it, but get it better. Can I help, in making children understanding the fundamentals better, right? And second, that really came in very handy was, the difference between the old school model, which is analog, and Byju's being an app, and therefore, in digital, and therefore all the advantages of, the what digital as a technology brings, to this entire space. Sorry, did somebody have? May I request people to go on mute? Am I clear now?
Rajesh, can you please mute all the participants?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So now we all know that human digital is very, empowering, and digital has worked out very, very well for education. And now, of course, post-COVID, we realized, the power of digital being unleashed when it comes to, there is, imparting education, right? Uh, and the third big advantage was the overall cost, compared to some of the other tuition classes, it was, fairly competitive. And the most important thing, what we believed, was the freshness, that it brings into this category, correct? So, we're not talking about scoring here. We're talking about, there is fundamental concepts. We're talking about this helping children to understand, the concepts better, so that, there is, they'll be able to perform better, correct? So, I think that's where, the shift in our heads started working, that, there is, it's not to the parents that we need to talk as rest of the category. I think, that we should start talking to, the children. And we also believe that, there is, Byju's as an app was designed for the children, and therefore, it should also be present to, the children, right? And the whole idea was, there is, can we replace, the pressure, the pressure cooker environment that we were talking about, can we replace pressure with, pleasure? That was, the whole idea. How do you bring about, there's the fun, the curiosity of learning? How do you actually, bring, the joy of learning back into children, right? So all of this, right? So while we are talking to the children, right, it's also very important to note here that, there is, it has to be in the context of something that, there is even parents, appreciate it, correct? And when I start showing you some of the early films, which I'm sure most of you would have seen, you would realize that, there is, where that entire creative expression is coming from, right? So how about, there is, getting children excited, and how about, getting them to rediscover studies, like the way they've never experienced in the past, right? So that was how we wanted to, kind of, that have been, really roll it out, right? And the whole idea was that, there is, if people are, enjoying, studying, if the people are enjoying, the learning process, right? So what do you expect out of it? Like, when you want children to really, fall in love with, the learning as a process, correct? And so why don't we really, give that love a chance, right? And I'm sure you all know this Queen's song, which was hugely inspirational for us at that point in time, right? So our point of view was really to help children, fall in love with learning. And the belief was that, there is, if we are able to instill that love for learning, the marks will follow, right? I mean, isn't that the truth? If the child is able to understand the concepts very well, right, then, there is, the child will be able to perform very well, right? So the problem is that, the pressure is, the pressure shifted from, helping children understand the concepts to, getting them to score marks, correct? We just wanted to shift that focus back onto the concepts, right? And from a product role, it was completely focused on, there was, trying to establish the fundamentals, very clearly. And from a communication, we wanted to evoke, that lost love and the lost joy of learning. We wanted to kind of evoke that, very, very powerfully, right? And the whole creative idea was really coming from there. It came from the consumer truth. I think, there is, we've gone through all of this, right? And the context of how we grounded, or how we rooted the idea, right, was really, that is taking those, teenagers and their life stage, right? And we all know that, there is, teenagers are very geeky and gawky, and it's a awkward age for them, right? I mean, they're just coming out of their influence of parents, and they're kind of slowly, gradually, there is, seeing the world on their terms, and they're just not ready. And you can see that awkwardness, right? And the same thing that happens, when children really, kind of, that is discover love, correct? So how does it really feel like? I mean, that was, really the context that we were seeing of how we kind of, build this education. And, actually, let's watch the film. Before the film, I think it's a 3-minute, film. It also kind of, there is encapsulates some of the some of the things that I've already shared, but it's a good refresher for you to go through. And then, that we can see the films. And I'll tell you a very interesting aspect of, this whole creative idea after you guys have seen the film, because, there is, it would just make a lot more sense then. Is the audio audible?
Yes, Sriharsh.
पता नहीं शुरू में भी hated each other.
You should drive me mad. कब start हुआ? Our first class together.
My friends tease me, but I don't care.
Love. Yeah, we think so. Oh, yeah. No. use.
Oh, okay, together. 1, 2, 3, math, chemistry, physics forever.
I love maths this much.
Come fall in love with learning with Byju's, the learning app.
Take a square, join the 4 points. Push this up, push this to the left, and bring this down. So a square plus b square equal to c square. And that's the Pythagoras theorem.
Download Byju's, the learning app, today.
Yeah, looks like someone's in love, Shavanola. OMG, lol. YOLO. Naam to bata de.
Physics. Come fall in love with learning.
Every single drop on that cone can create a rainbow for you, which is what you call the circular rainbow.
Download Byju's, the learning app.
Yes, that was the the beginning of Byju's branding story, and like I said, there is a very interesting there is insight. Besides what we discovered with the children, right? There was something which which was contextually right, which we thought that plays a very interesting role given the the digital model of Byju's, right? So we all know that there is as parents. We really don't like, we're very, very conscious of, there is, the screen time, the amount of time that, kids are spending on devices, right? I mean, these are these are things that really bother us, right? And, the truth is also that, there is, whenever we see children on devices, browsing something or whatever it is, I mean, we always think that, kids are just wasting time. Kids are just wasting time, and they are browsing something which is of completely no use. It's a waste. Or there is also fear that they're probably consuming the wrong kind of content from these devices, right? And therefore, as parents, we are always stopping children from from using devices. And in the beginning, this was a concern for Byju's and for us as well. How would there is when parents react to children really studying from a device, like guys, mind you, I mean that we're not talking about 2021, we're talking about 2015, 2016, right? So the online classes weren't as nobody had ever thought that there is schooling would be done online the way it is being now done now, correct? So there was this concern on how parents would kind of react and respond, right? And that was one of the reasons why we kind of contextualized in the communication about how typically when parents would come and talk to children when they're on a device, right? It's that it's just this condescending approach of knowing that that hey there is this kid is wasting time sitting and doing something on a screen, correct? So if you realize in those communication that we did, the initial set of communications that we did, we actually kind of weaved in that aspect as well. And the whole idea was to address the potential barrier that it could be, and therefore the contextualizing of parents being against devices for education at that point in time, correct? So that was also kind of neatly woven in, right? I hope you guys enjoyed the films. These films turned out to be a super success, and the reason why I say that was that there is while the media campaign was scheduled for a certain duration, we had to actually these ads had to be pulled down in the middle without even completing the media duration, because there is Byju's did not have capacity in their backend to manage all the inbound calls that were coming from these ads, right? So we had to actually pull down the ads and then there is re-air them after they could scale up their capacity. Like, that was the kind of impact that happened, and that also really set the tone for Byju's exponential growth, right? So thank you guys. That was what I wanted to share. We're open now.
Yeah. Sriharsh, thank you. Thanks for the video and the complete description. So guys, I'll keep it open for all of you to have a Q&A with Sriharsh. So please shoot your questions, and you can just ask a couple of things that you can adapt for your startups or your products. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, Rajesh, I have a question.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sriharsh, for the insights. It's great, and yeah, Byju's is obviously very inspiring and a great startup to look up to. So my question is basically about, as a startup, we always, as a founder, we always caught up in in the basic stuff, right? Like setting up logistics, setting up customer service, and stuff like that. So at what point a customer should a startup should start thinking about branding? Like at what stage? Is it about before the growth phase, or is it from the day one? And when it is the right time for a startup to sort of thinking in terms of branding perspective?
So, yeah, Sandeep, that's I think, that's a question probably that is, is on the mind of, is on the minds of every startup person, right? See, when you're just about starting up, branding is the last thing on your mind, right? So you want your business to work first, correct? And whatever space that you're in, from concept to to a business, you're very caught up in that process. Second is that there is when you start seeing the first set of consumer and the first consumer traction, you're going to be severely focused on making sure that there is deliveries are happening.
Yep.
Your consumers orders are being met in whatever way it is. So that's where your focus is going to be, correct?
True.
Yeah. So there is, once you have a working model, which I would say not friction free, but at least friction less, correct? And when you realize that there is a consumer acceptance now, there is enough proof of concept testing that's happened, right? And now it's about scaling up, right? That's when there is you need to start thinking of how do I brand, because that is what is going to kind of there is help you in scaling up, which is create the ability to push for acceptance, right? So, and you want that acceptance to be as wide as possible, right? So how are you going to position your business, right? So those are the questions that would probably come up after you have a working business in place.
Yep, that makes total sense. Yeah, because initially we are absolutely caught up with the basic stuff and make the the service as frictionless as possible. And maybe before shooting up the growth, maybe that's where the time to consider about branding. And I also really like the point that you really focused on the consumers, like how consumers plays a really important role in terms of branding, because we often overlook that, and we are really keen on our messaging rather than thinking about whom we are conveying the message to. I think that's a great point that you have really emphasized on.
Yeah. Guys, any other questions? Please feel free to ask. So, Sriharsh, I have one question on the behalf of the startups. Usually, like, startups think about branding at a stage when they are like, 3 years or 4 years old, and their products are almost in their growth phase in the market. So I wanted to know from you, what is the right time for starting to be brand conscious, or what is the right time to start building a brand? Does it start on the day one, or there's a time when you really, start building a brand, around your product or startup?
So, I like the articulation, you just made, which is brand conscious, right? I think, there is brand consciousness, would begin right from day one, correct? And that's something that's very heavy on the founders, and, and it's very critical for them, for the founders, to ensure that, there is the right perception, the right expectation is set. And as a business, they're able to deliver to that expectation. And by delivering, or in the process of delivering, they're also ensuring that there is they're able to create the right perception. And that's one of the reasons why we all know that when it comes to startups, the founders are literally rolling up the sleeves and getting into there is every aspect of the value chain, correct? So I think the brand consciousness is already there, which is fundamentally there is at that stage, the brand consciousness simply means there is a reputation, right? So how do I really there is ensure that there is a there is a good deal of reputation that I'm able to build for my business, so that that reputation there is translates into repeat business, correct? And when that reputation starts evolving, or when the brand or the consciousness about the reputation starts evolving, one would realize that there is if you're just pegging it on mere delivery, then every other business in that space or in every other space is probably there has been working on the same aspect, which is how do I deliver better to consumer, correct? While that would help, and that's definitely very important, the most important thing is to start looking at what are the differentiations, like what is the kind of differentiator that I can start building in. And that's the first germ of branding as a concept, right? So that's when there is when you start asking yourself, how do I how do I differentiate, right? Then you're asking those 4 C's, correct? How do I make a difference to my consumer? How am I different within the category?
Voice is breaking a bit.
Yeah, so I don't know where I left off, but
The last line.
yeah, so when one starts thinking of differentiation, right, I mean, that's when all the 4 C's come into play, correct? Because that's when you're going to ask these questions, how am I going to differentiate for my consumer? How am I going to be different within the category? How am I going to be different from my competition, right? And how am I going to be so different that there is in the next few years I'm going to be relevant, right? And that's the coming context, correct? So that automatically starts setting in, right? And that's really how that's the startup mindset, right? I mean, you start asking these questions, right? So the process of branding starts in there, right? Advertising is just amplifying, correct? I mean, there is what advertising is just doing is to pick up these nuances and be able to package it and present it to the outer world in a very clear, concise, and a sharp way, correct? But the thinking process has to evolve in the minds of the founders.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that, Sriharsh. So, guys, any questions? Yeah, Ravi, please go on.
Sriharsh, this is Ravi Kumar. We are working on the content connection for real estate to make it more easier, the whole process of understanding real estate more easier. I mean, kind of a little similar, but again, towards the more the older generation of 30 plus to 40s is our target audience.
Okay.
So when you did in 2015, maybe when you go back and sit with the founder team, they might say that product can be better. Is it the right time to go out or not? Is it the money available in the bank is pushing you to go for branding and advertising, or is it that okay, now the product is okay to go, but because Byju's 2015 versus Byju's 2021 is a huge roadmap of changeover, which to match and meet the customer requirement in a more interactive way. Today they started the classrooms also. So that is not the day one. So I mean, there is a change in product lineup as well as change in marketing strategies across these 7 years. So how do you see that? So I mean, when is it? Because every time when you're working on a deep tech product, you feel that I can give more to customer. Do I really go out into market and say that my product is ready, or should I wait for 6 more months because I'm adding 3 more features? It's always that dilemma which founders or the people who are thinking on deep tech will be bothered out. Maybe because you're purely coming in a branding background, may be able to help Byju's as well as the VC company to say that what is there is good. Let us go. Maybe can you give me more thoughts into the both sides of it?
This is again, one of those $1 million questions, right? I mean, there is, when are we really ready to scale, correct? So, I think, there is this whole minimum, this MVP, right? So minimum viable product, right? Takes different forms and different shapes, along the evolution cycle, correct? And, yes, I agree with you, Ravi. I think, there is all founders are, there is punted so much, right? There's always this constant fear about there is when is that time, when is the right time for us to really take the big leap, correct? So see, there are two factors in play here, right? So the first factor is that there is money in the bank, yes, Ravi, but trust me, when it comes to business, money is always a scarce, is a very scarce resource. I'm sure there is all of us who've read some bit of economics would know that, right? I mean, money is always a scarce resource, correct? So therefore,
Yeah.
there's a lot of diligence that gets applied in terms of there is when is the money, when is it right to spend that money, correct? So there's a huge,
Right, exactly.
Right? So there's a lot of financial models built around it, right? So that's a fantastic guardrail to go through, that to help you, kind of there is decide when is the right time, correct? So that's one. The second is that there is how do you actually know whether 30 customers or 300 customers or 3,000 customers, okay, is the right is the right threshold level to feel that there is, yes, now I have a fully or a smooth operating model, right? How do you actually, I mean, there is, how do you decide on, the threshold, correct? So, there are two aspects here. There are two lenses that we typically apply, right? So one lens is that, there is what is the kind of category that you're operating in, and look at, there is, at what level is the consumer adoption in your category, correct? And then see, there is, is 30 too much or 300 too much or too little, or 3,000 too much or too little. I think, that will give you, a bit of a, ability to measure and see where where you really stand, correct? So that's one, which is, the context of a category, right? Second is that, there is, second is that, there is your people who've invested, and if you're, if you have those kind of investors who have invested in multiple startups, they have a good sense, they have a good pulse on, what they would consider as a MVP, correct? They might have, signed off the investment, but, do they feel that, there is, when it's really ready for, putting it out there, is something that, they have a very good, sense of, analyzing that, given the width of, the portfolios, given the, given the variety of investments that they would have done, from where they have those learnings, right? A combination of these factors, right, and is what really kind of helps you. But you're right, Ravi, the final decision is really, that is in your hands, correct? And that's a big question that there is, yeah, right? So that's a big question that you have for yourself, correct? But these are some of the good guardrails, that will be able to kind of hold and steadily walk towards.
Okay. Got it. It is basically a team effort. You're talking about a VC standpoint, a market and category, as well as a founder team and product stage. It's a combination, which is a tricky situation to take it and move on. Maybe sometimes you're too early to advertise and fail. Maybe sometimes you're too late because you miss the bus of catching revenue. So,
Absolutely. And financial modeling is very important, because when you put out that money there, right? Like I told you, there is, the initial response was so good that, I mean, Byju's had to pull it down, to kind of, there is scale up their backend in terms of receiving calls and, ensuring that all consumers who are showing interest are able to be, are engaged with, correct? So that
there's missed opportunity of capitalizing in that case also.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, one more question I want to ask Sriharsh. So, when you look at, okay, what, I mean, all these Ravindran himself being in the ad, explaining and all that is what we have seen in 2015. I mean, at that time you were part of it and then did it. So, when you look at now, it's being all over everywhere, and it's nothing to do. I mean, it's all movie stars, cricket. I mean, wherever you say it is there. So, how do you see that now?
it's it's at a completely different stage. It's in a completely different orbit now, right? So in the beginnings, so there were there were a couple of things that that prompted us. So the first thing is that there is for those of you who are very familiar with Byju's, we know that Baiju Ravindran was a teacher himself, right? He's a he's a genius. The guy is a I mean there is he cleared JEEs and CATs and all of that multiple times with no interest in taking up any of those, right? And he was just giving those competitive exams to clear up concepts in his own head, correct? And I'm sure all of you may also be aware that there is his initial team were largely constituted with his own students, right? So his students there is just love him for his ability to break down complex concepts into something very simple, easy to understand, right? And their affinity towards Baiju is that much, and therefore a lot of them there is when Baiju expressed his desire to start with this Baiju classes, which was the precursor to the Baiju app, right? So they all wanted to come and there is a lot of them wanted to come and join him, correct? Because they had that's the kind of faith and belief that they had in him, right? So we just genuinely felt that there is this model. First of all, there is, if I'm going to sit and explain to you how Byju's is different, right, in mere words, right, it's going to take a hell lot of time, right? Because now people would understand, right? Because video-based learning is something that we all know now, correct? But then, it was a very alien concept. So we wanted to show that's we call that a product window. So we wanted to create a product window where there is kids are able to see how visually what this translates into, and we all have visual minds, right? As people, as humans, we all have visual minds, correct? So we wanted to kind of explain how this product is delivered, right? And that's the reason why we kept the product window. And the reason why we had Byju's in that is because of his equity amongst the market, who are familiar with him.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Sriharsh.
Full presentation, Sriharsh. Really helped us in thinking little away from the like today's 2021 to 2015 and like trying to catch up the two versions and then try to see how we can help. It can help our startups. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi.
Yeah, Joseph, please go on. You were asking something.
Yeah, Mr. Sriharsh, good evening. I am George Joseph. We are doing a high quality product delivery service in Kochi, Kerala. So I have a doubt that there are many other existing platforms right there. So how do we penetrate into the customer base? We have all quality services. We are providing only quality services. So how could we penetrate into that market? How to communicate that to our customers with using this shoestring budget and all? I think you got my question correct.
Yeah. Hi, George.
Even though our product is very quality oriented, how can we make our customers try our product or that?
Okay, so George, hi. First of all, a big hello from Bangalore, and I hope the weather is good there now in Kerala. I'm sure it must be very pleasant there, right? So,
yeah.
Right. So, George, your question is more in the context of what we, in today's context, I think, as we call it, growth hacking, right? How do you actually, there is, and what I mean, I have no clue about what's the actual business line that you're in, but but I can, I'll give you an example of something which is in the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Probably I'll give you a couple of examples, but see, fundamentally, there is, when you want to look at kind of penetrating a market on a shoestring budget, and you want to kind of test the initial consumer acceptance, right? So one thing that you need to be very, very diligent about is understanding the consumption journey, right? And I'm just going to emphasize that a little more, George.
Okay.
See, popularly we call it consumer journey. Consumer journey refers to the entire buying process, correct? The consumption journey refers to that particular step in the consumer journey, which is how was the consumer consuming your product or a service, right? You have to kind of, there is understand that, in a very detailed manner. That takes a lot of diligence, right? And once you understand, the consumption journey, right? How is your customer actually consuming the product or the service? It may not be your product or a service. It could be the product or a service that you're trying to replace, right? Once you start understanding the process, you would realize on your own that there is an opportunity for us to drive a wedge, right? How do you actually create a space for yourself is something that you would start there is human identifying. And to demonstrate this, I'll give you one or two examples. Like I said, there is one example is a completely opposite end of the spectrum, which is from an evolutionary stage. While you're a complete startup, I'm referring to a brand called Iodex, right? Which is probably that is well past its growth, and it's probably in its decline stage, right? Now, from a brand evolutionary point of view, correct? So this was one of the challenge. There is what is it that you're going to tell people about Iodex? I mean, there is who isn't aware of Iodex, who isn't aware of what Iodex does, right? So how are we going to create, a new opportunity for Iodex? How are we going to drive growth for Iodex, right? It's in a way, it's somewhat similar, right? Because you're at the opposite end of the spectrum, the questions are the same, correct? So, I'll tell you something very interesting, that happened. Okay. This was again, that was done many years ago, right? So, we were sitting and discussing, there is, what is a new thing that you can do for Iodex, right? And when we started, there is digging further and further as to how people use, what are the different occasions for using Iodex, what are the different types of people who use Iodex. So we went through, all research, whatever we know, every piece of human knowledge that was there, we were going through it, right? And we realized that, there is, there are a couple of, interesting, consumer discoveries that came to us, right? So the first thing was that, there is, sorry. So the first thing is that, there is, do you know that, in mostly rural, in peri-urban, and even in urban areas, there is, we tend to have this behavior, right? So when when you have a kind of a stiffness, right? When you're feeling stiff, what do you do? Like, there is, I mean, it's a very common behavior for us, especially in rural areas, for people to go to a barber. They don't go to a doctor. Even if they have a sprain, they'll go to a barber, right? So they'll go to a saloon and they'll get this malish done, right? So we thought, that's an unexplored opportunity. So one of the things that we did for Iodex was to launch this massive, on-ground intervention. So we had a team of people who were trained and who would go to, these barber shops, right? And talk to the barber about, there is how so many people, a lot of his customers, they come for malish because, they have stiffness or they have, a sprain, right? More likely stiffness, correct? And that's the reason why they go for a malish, right? So we told them, there is, if you were to do, currently, the malish that he's offering is an unbranded malish, right? And therefore, there is his ability to charge a particular rate is also very limited. So we introduced to him the concept of Iodex malish, which is a branded malish, right? And we told him that, there is, you can charge a premium now from your consumer because you're using Iodex, right? Because there's a certain equity, correct? And when the barber, there is, when he sees the logic in the argument and when he agrees, there is, the team then connects him to the local distribution channel where he's able to get a preferred pricing. He gets the retailer pricing so that he also gets the retailer margin. And, and his barber shop is completely, there are a lot of Iodex collaterals. There's a rate card, there's a menu card in terms of the different Iodex malishes that are available and what's the rate for it. All of that is kind of given to the barber for displaying in a shop, right? So can you see how an opportunity came up, right? So
Yes.
if you start looking at the consumption behavior, right? I mean, these opportunities, tend to come up, right? So one of the things that I would, urge you to do is to look at, that it's, how are consumers or how are your customers currently buying an equivalent, of, the product or the service, correct? Understand, that deeply. If required, go and sit with them, there is, talk to them and try and figure out, there is, where are the gaps? What are the, where is there an existing dissonance? Is there a dissatisfaction, right? And you would start finding the opportunities, there.
Yes.
Did that help, George?
Yes. Thank you, Sriharsh.
Welcome, George. Thank you.
Yeah. So Sriharsh, I have one more question for you. So can you throw some light on how branding differs based on the market, or the industry that we are targeting? Because I see, like, whenever we run cohorts, we have startups from different, industry areas. So most of the time, the e-commerce startups, they feel that branding is a very capital intensive activity for them, and their growth and revenues are directly subject to the amount of branding or marketing they do. So versus any other startups like in healthcare or EV or other startups. So can you throw some light on how marketing or branding can really be categorized based on the industry, whether it is intensive or submerged?
So, marketing and branding both are very intensive, right? And that's also one of the reasons why it's it's a critical function, right? Because it directly impacts, the top line and let's say the top line of the business, right? It has a direct influence or impact on the top line of the business, right? So, see, fundamentally, there is, there are two ways to look at it, right? So one is, is it capital intensive? Yes. Branding can be, marketing can be capital intensive if the nature of your business, the nature of your category that you're operating in requires, that level of investment, right? So for example, imagine, there is, imagine Flipkart, do you think Flipkart would be Flipkart if it had not invested, millions of dollars into, into branding and into marketing? No, right? I mean, there is, right? For a category like that, it's very essential that they're able to penetrate, to the deepest corners and, acquire new customers, and that's when they're going to expand, correct? And I mean, over the years, we've seen so many examples, right from Intel to whatever, whichever category, correct? At the same time, there is, if you are one of those, for example, let's look at, a brand that probably did not invest as much, which is, I mean, right now, the one that's coming to the top of my mind is Zoom, the Zoom cars, correct? They had a very, they had something else going for them, correct? They had, there is a couple of different factors that was going for them, which is the newness, especially in our market, in our country, there is, for people who don't have a car, and if they have to, rent a car, it's a very, before Zoom, it was a very difficult, it's a very, what's the right word? I mean, it's a very tough process for consumers to get a rental car, with a self-drive option, right? Zoom went about making that very easy, and therefore, there is, and they were able to, capture a lot of consumer imagination, right? So that's one. And second is that, there is the idea of, there is driving different types of car, is it's a very attractive proposition, correct? So a couple of these factors kind of, there is helped, and it kind of, largely, there is, grew on its own, correct? So unless, you're in a category where the dynamics of the category itself is, you're so disruptive, you're so innovative, that you're able to, the dynamics kind of, push, you to become more visible, right? It's all about, there is visibility, right? At the early stage, it's completely about visibility. So if your product idea is able to create that kind of visibility, then why not, correct? There, there also marketing is very intensive. It may not be, there is capital intensive, but it is still resource intensive, for you to be able to, there is, make those right touch points. And if you remember, if you've used Zoom in the early days, right, the experience was flawless, right? It was a very beautiful experience right from the app, how I discover, how I choose the location that I prefer, the timing, and my ability to go there and, there is, and pick up the car myself, right? So the whole experience was, and that also is a, it's a very intensive process, correct? So I think, there is, advertising is an easier way to do it, if those kind of budgets are there, right? Or, there is, one has to go the, the difficult route where, there is, you need to really work on, the product delivery. You have to make it shine so much that it's able to make the business more visible.
Got it. Thank you, Sriyash. That answers my question.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Folks, any other questions? Please feel free to ask. It can be, even subject to your product as well. Sandeep, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Srihash. We just have a question on customer retention. If you could, give some insights based from your experience, as you have worked with so many D2C brands and all type of, a mixed type, a really good mix of companies. So how different companies are addressing the question of customer retention, and what are the key things that they are trying to implement to gain a good market share, a decent market share?
Sandeep, see, if you were to keep it, there is, very, if I were to take this question at a very high level, in a very general context, right? In India, most businesses, right? And if you look at consumers and if you look at consumer expectations, correct?
Yeah.
A lot of consumer expectations are still at a very hygiene level, right? Where, most consumers, if you ask them, and if you understand their expectations better, you would also realize that, there is, most of consumer expectations are really, at a basic level where, if I'm expecting, for example, a clean pair of, something, okay, I'd be very happy if I just get that clean pair of something.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're able to offer this much and consistently, I think, there is, retention is anyway inbuilt, right? So if I'm going to be very delighted with, the product and the service, the retention at this stage, is anyway inbuilt, correct? So a simple point is that, there is, if you look at Indigo, right? I don't know if Indigo has now come up with a, with a loyalty program, but for a long time, Indigo did not have any loyalty program.
Yes.
Right. Even at a time when Jet Airways, Jet Privilege was a very popular loyalty program, correct? And Jet Airways was still functioning during those days, and but still, Indigo managed to get a good share of there is the traffic, and not only that, I mean, they also managed to retain their passengers, correct? So so that's really the stage, if you ask me, in most categories we are in, right? If you're able to, there is, offer a delightful buying experience and a good quality fulfillment, I think, there is retention is already there, correct? Beyond that, I think, there is, if you want to look at retention, then, there is currently, there's a lot of retention mechanisms, which are price offs and discounts and those kind of rewards. But those are, so those are, those are, I would say, very easily replicable, correct?
Yeah.
I've always believed that, there is, if you have a very good insight, of your consumers, then you don't need an incentive, right?
Okay.
If you don't, insight is when you need an incentive, right? So if you're able to work on the insight, and if you're able to develop something, that is, which is distinct and which is delighting the consumer, retention is something that, there is, you don't have to, I mean, it comes, it comes together, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Sriharsh. And I have one more question on marketing. So basically, there are these standard channels in digital marketing, right? Like if we only talk about digital marketing here, like Google and Facebook, right? So as a D2C brand, people say that we are basically giving money to Google and Facebook just to exist in the digitally in the marketing space. So what are the other channels to explore, and how to be innovative in terms of coming up with a marketing campaign?
Sandeep, it's somewhat kind of similar to what George had also asked. Okay, so let me give you another example, right?
Sure.
See, if you want to do it the conventional way, see, Google has invested, there are millions of their dollars, and they're just, taking a very small share of your monies, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to use those channels, then that's the cost of usage, correct?
Okay.
But are there other channels? Yes, there is. I'm also a strong believer in this, Sandeep, that there is always, another channel.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is this is something that I would kind of take it as a universal truth. There is always another channel, which sometimes is sitting right under our nose and we are not able to see it. But if you again do that consumption journey, what I was explaining earlier, if you diligently break down that consumption journey, and if you understand that, you would unearth, or you would discover, these channels. For example, in the case of an IDEX, the barbers, that was a channel, correct? This was again a couple of years ago. There is, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this part of, so you guys know that washing machines penetration in India is less than 15%.
No, I did not know that.
Okay, so washing machines, household penetration is less than 15%. Okay, and it's a very old category, right? It's a very, it's kind of an ancient category now, correct? But it's still only less than 15%, right? So that's number one. Number two is that, there is, when it comes to detergents, the cleansing powders or the liquids, that are available in the market, there are two types of detergents, right? One is, for hand wash, the other one is for machine washing, right?
Yes.
Which is typically called as Matic.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so here is the fact now, right? Matic, penetration is less than 5%. Okay,
that's surprising.
Yes, right. So less than 5% of people, use Matic. So washing machine is less than 15%, and within that, there is even Matic is being consumed by less than 5% of the universe. So and Matic is not a new product either. It's been there for ages now, right? I mean, it's at least more than 10 years old now, right?
Yeah.
And there's enough awareness that is being spread. But there's one key question that there is that Matic as a category is not able to answer, which is why Matic, right? A Matic variant is about 40 rupees more than its non-Matic variant, right? And nobody is able to, consumers are not convinced about paying that 40 rupees premium, and therefore they're not adopting that Matic, right? So that's the problem. That's really the problem, right? So, just to answer your question about, what could be, are there a different channel? So imagine, okay, I'm talking about a typical FMCG product, and we all know distribution strong. We all know how it's available, all the channels, correct? So, and I'm talking about even brands like, there is Ariel and Surf and stuff like that. And the case that I'm relating to you all was done for Surf. Okay, it's a Unilever brand. And there is enough money. I mean, there is, when I say enough money, like I said, money is always a scarce resource, but there is, there is a budget that's available for,
at least to the Unilever brand, right?
Yes, advertising and promotion has its own, has a budget for Surf Matic as well, correct? So, but nothing seemed to move the needle over the years. Nothing seemed to move the needle, right? So when we started looking at again the consumption behavior, right, we realized, right, consumers are not interested. First of all, consumers are bored with this washing clothes. Okay, I mean it's a chore, right? Nobody is interested to intellectualize that category. Like, so it's a chore. I just want that to be done. If it is done, then I'm not bothered, right?
Yeah.
There are two instances in a consumer life where, the interest in the category peaks. Okay, there are only two instances, right? When my current washing machine breaks down, right? Then my involvement or interest peaks because, there is, it's a disruption in my routine.
Yes.
Correct. And
yes.
At that time, I'm willing to listen to anything.
Yeah.
Anything that can, there is restore normalcy in my life, I'm willing to listen, because that's when, there is my involvement is very high when it comes to the category, right?
Yes.
Second instance is when I buy a new washing machine. I've just put 20,000, 30,000 on the table, right? I've invested 30,000 bucks and I'm getting a new washing machine and I want to make the most of the washing machine. Therefore, again, at that point in time, as a consumer, my interest in, in cleaning or washing clothes, which is a chore, again, is very heightened at that point in time because I'm forking out a lot of money, correct?
Yeah.
So we realize that, there is, if you're able to catch consumers during these two instances, okay, then our, the ability to persuade them to switch from, a normal hand wash powder to a Matic powder is that much more stronger.
Yeah.
Right. So because at that point in time, they're able to, see for somebody who spent 20,000 or 30,000 rupees on a new washing machine, a 40 rupee premium for the sake of the washing machine and for the sake of better clean clothes is not much.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
So you just need to find, the right time, right? And if you have the right message, then your channel is about trying to figure out a right messenger, right? When can also how are you going to identify that? How on earth are you going to be identifying when is somebody's washing machine, cracking down, when is somebody buying a new washing machine, right? So what we did was, there is, tie up with, and we all know that, when it comes to white goods, the sellers are different from, the deliverers and the installers, right? I mean, there's always a technician who comes and installs the product for you, correct?
Yes.
And he's considered to be a washing machine expert.
Yeah.
Right.
At least we assume so.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. And once I have bought the washing machine, I'm waiting. I'm really waiting eagerly for the technician to come and set up the washing machine and give me a demo.
Yes.
Correct. So imagine at that point in time, if I can get that washing machine, so-called technician or the expert to tell the consumer that you've done a great job by buying a new washing machine, but do you know that, that is Matic is the right product to use for your washing machine because it is designed for washing machine. Give them, 2 or 3 logical reasons.
Yeah.
So we did this. This was something that we experimented, and we got, a 27% conversion.
Interesting.
Right. So there is a new channel now, correct? I mean, this washing machine technician is a new channel, right? So he would carry Surfmatics, right, and he would explain to the customer, and then he would, as a proof of, concept, they would sell the first kg pack, and they would collect the money. So, so can you see that? I mean, there's a new channel that's already there.
Yes. So as you mentioned in the initial itself, there are channels right under our nose, and we don't know that they even exist.
Absolutely. I mean, after this was done, there is, Tata Sky also took up this channel, that? I mean, that is for people who are going and installing TVs. They were incentivizing these technicians to go and sell Tata Sky on behalf of, so that's now become a channel now, a proper selling channel.
Very interesting.
That's a wonderful channel, actually.
It is.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sriharsh.
You're welcome, Sandeep. Thank you.
So, Sriharsh, one more last question from me on behalf of the startups. So, most of the times I see startup founders spending a lot of time on digital marketing. Okay, and in this age of digitalization, maybe they thought like that's the right way of doing a customer acquisition, because most of them are now available on the social platforms and the online platforms. So, having said that, sometimes I always feel that they should also have a dedicated marketing channels defined along with this digital marketing that they are depending on. So sometimes I feel that startups are too much depending on digital marketing, rather than defining their own, traditional or relevant market channels. So could you please throw some light on that? Digital marketing versus the, the physical or, dedicated marketing channels.
So, again, there is, this is a constant for any marketer. This is a big challenge, right? I mean, there is, see, but there is one, one common denominator here, right? When it comes to marketing, right? As long as it is focused, right? You can't spread yourself too lean, but the more the number of channels, the better for you, right? So, depending only on digital marketing or depending only on traditional channels, if you're looking for that multiplier effect, right? You need to, there is even consider more than one channel. You need to be present in, in a few multiple channels that can, there is help you, get that multiplier effect, right? So that goes without saying that, there is, besides digital marketing, and actually more important than digital marketing, and depending on your growth phase, depending on the stage of evolution that the startup is in, right? One needs to explore more innovative channels, because there is see, let's be conscious of the consumer as well. Consumers are very intelligent, right? They're not fools. I mean, there is, it may not be consciously in their minds, but subconsciously, by connecting with the consumer in the most oddest of places, you've already created a first very great impression, right? And that's priceless, right? So, whether you're doing digital marketing or not, I think it's very important for you to, try and identify your own, channels. It can be established category channels. If you're using established category channels, then think of doing something innovative in that, within those channels, or identify, a new channel like what we discussed now, correct? So it's very important for you to be able to, be visible in the most surprising of places, because in this context, surprises are pleasant.
Yeah. Makes sense. Thank you very much. So folks, any last question? We can take one last question before we end the session. Anybody has anything, please, ask. Okay, I think, we are done with the questions. So yeah, so Sriharsh, thank you. Thank you very much for being a part of this session, and that too at a very short notice. Really appreciate that. And your experience, insights have been very useful to these startups. And we hope all of these startups benefit out of this, and they grow up and become very strong companies of the nation. So thank you very much. Really appreciate your time and interest in joining us. Yeah.
My best wishes to all the startups here, and thank you for having me on this. I think it was lovely to interact with some of the founders, and I think there is a lot of the questions I can see the the point of origin of those questions, like so it's at that stage where it demands a lot of there is involvement and effort, which I'm sure they would know that much better than I do. I think it was a fantastic interaction, guys. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.
Can all of you, on your videos, I'll take a quick pic, one or two pics. Please switch on your videos in case it's okay for all of you. Thank you. Few more, please. Perfect. Joseph. Okay, guys. Okay, perfect. I'll take. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sriharsh, again. I'll be in touch with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Sriharsh.
Thanks a lot, Sriharsh. Thanks a lot for
Thank
your
you.
time. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.